everyone, welcome to Allied Legdom channel. In today's video, we'll see about radius bone. Okay, let's go into the topic. Radius is the lateral bone of the forearm. It is a type of long bone which is homologous with the tibia of the lower limb. The radius is divided into three parts, that is upper rounded end, lower broad end with a styloid process and a shaft. Next is the upper end of the radius bone. The parts of the upper end are head, neck and radial tuberosity. The head is a disc shaped and it is covered with hyaline cartilage. It has a superior concave surface. In the upper end of the upper end there is a superior surface in which the capitulum of humerus will articulate at the elbow joint. The circumference of the head is also articulate into a socket formed by the radial notch of the ulna and the annular ligament, thus forming a superior radio-ulnar joint. The upper end of the head have a concave surface which articulates with the capitulum of the humerus to form at elbow joint. The circumference of the head is also articulates with the socket formed by the radial notch of the ulna, thus forming superior radio-ulnar joint. The neck is enclosed by the narrow lower margin of the annular ligament. The head and neck are free from capsular attachment and can rotate freely with the socket. The radial tuberosity lies just below the medial part of the neck. It is rough posterior part and smooth anterior part. It has rough posterior part and smooth anterior part. Next is the shaft. On the shaft of the radius we have three borders and three surfaces. It is having a triangular structure. The three borders are anterior border, posterior border, medial or interosseous border. Anterior border extends from the anterior margin of the radial tuberosity down close to the styloid process. It is oblique in upper half of the shaft and vertical in the lower half. The lowest part is sharp and crest-like structure. The oblique part is called the anterior oblique line. Next is the posterior border. It is the mirror image of the anterior border, but it is clearly defined only in its middle 1/3 of the part. The upper oblique part is known as the posterior oblique line. In anterior border it is known as anterior oblique line. In posterior border it is known as posterior oblique line. Next is the medial or interosseous border. It is the sharpest of this three borders. It extends from the radial tuberosity above to the posterior margin of the ulnar notch below. It extends from the radial tuberosity above and in posterior to the ulnar notch below. The interosseous membrane is attached to the lower 3/4. In the lower part it forms a posterior margin of an elongated triangular area. Next we'll see about surfaces. There are three surfaces, that is anterior surface, posterior surface and lateral surface. Anterior surface lies between anterior and interosseous border or medial border. A nutrient foramen opens in its lower part, in its upper part, and it is directed upwards. The nutrient artery is a branch of anterior interosseous artery. Next surface is posterior surface, which lies between the posterior and interosseous border. Last one is lateral surface, which lies between anterior and posterior border. It shows a roughened area in its middle part. Next we will see about the lower end. The lower end is the widest part of the bone. It has 5 surfaces. The anterior surface is in the form of thick prominent ridge. The radial artery is palpated against this surface. The posterior surface presents 4 grooves for the extensor tendons. The dorsal tubercle of blisters lies lateral to the oblique groove. And the medial surface is occupied by the ulnar notch for the head of the ulna. The lateral surface is prolonged downwards to form the styloid process, and the inferior surface bears a triangular area for the scaphoid bone and a medial quadrilateral area for the lunate bone. This surface takes part in forming the wrist joint. The lower end has 5 surfaces. Anterior surface, which forms a prominent ridge where the radial artery is palpated. Next is the posterior surface, which consists of 4 grooves for the extensor tendons. Third one is medial surface. It is occupied by the ulnar notch for the head of the ulna to accumulate. Fourth is lateral surface. It is prolonged towards the styloid process. Fifth is inferior surface, which bears a triangular and quadrilateral area where the scaphoid and lunate bone forms will get attached to this part to form a wrist joint. The first groove between crust-like clovus part of the anterior border and the styloid process give passage to the abductor pollicis longus and extensor pollicis brevis. The second groove between the styloid process and the dorsal tubercle gives way to the extensor carpi radialis longus and extensor carpi radialis brevis tendons, and the third oblique groove medial to dorsal tubercle will give passage to the extensor pollicis longus tendon, and the fourth groove on the medial aspect gives passage to the tendon of extensor digitorum and extensor indicis, posterior interosseous nerve and anterior interosseous artery. In addition, at the junction of lower ends of the radius and ulna passes the tendon of extensor didici minimi. Lastly, in relation to ulna between its head and styloid process transfers the tendon of extensor carpi ulnaris. Next is muscle attachments. The biceps brachii is inserted to the rough posterior part of the radial tuberosity. The anterior part of the tuberosity is covered by the brusa, and the supinator is inserted into the upper part of the lateral surface, and the pronator teres is inserted into the middle of the lateral surface. The brachioradialis is inserted into the lowest part of the lateral surface just above the styloid process, and the radial head of the flexor digitorum superficialis takes origin from the anterior oblique line and the upper part of the anterior border. The flexor pollicis longus takes origin from the upper 2/3 of the anterior surface, and the pronator quadratus is inserted into the lower part of the anterior surface, and it is into the triangular area on the medial side of the lower end. The radial artery is palpated for the radial pulse. It lies medial to the sharp anterior border of radius, lateral to the tendon of flexor carpi radialis. The abductor pollicis longus and the extensor pollicis brevis arise from the posterior surface. The quadrate ligament is attached to the medial part of the neck. The oblique cord is attached on the medial side just below the radial tuberosity. The articular capsule of the wrist joint is attached to the anterior and posterior margins of the inferior articular surface. The articular disc of the inferior radio-ulnar joint is attached to the lower border of the ulnar notch, and the extensor is attached to the lower part of the anterior border. The interosseous membrane is attached to the lower 3/4 of the interosseous border. In short, muscles of anterior forearm are biceps brachii, brachialis, brachioradialis, triceps brachii, flexor carpi radialis, flexor carpi ulnaris, palmaris longus, pronator teres, pronator quadratus, supinator, flexor digitorum superficialis. The action of biceps brachii is flexion of arm at elbow. Brachialis flexion of arm at elbow. Brachioradialis also flexion of arm at elbow. Extension of arm at elbow is performed by triceps brachii. Flexion of wrist is carried out by these muscles: flexor carpi radialis, flexor carpi ulnaris, palmaris longus. The supinator muscle supinates the forearm. Next, muscles of posterior forearm is extensor carpi radialis longus, extensor carpi radialis brevis, extensor carpi ulnaris, extensor retinaculum, extensor digitorum. The action of these muscles are extend and abduct the wrist. The extensor retinaculum holds the tendons down at the muscle work. Next is side determination of radius. To determine the side of radius, whether it is right or left, the following points should be noted. That is, the upper hand, the upper head has a disc like head, whereas the lower end is expanded. The medial border is sharpest and presents radial tuberosity. The medial border should carry radial tuberosity at the upper end, and the posterior surface at the lower end presents a tubercle called tubercle of Lister. The head should be disc, lower end should be expanded, medial border should be sharpest and present radial tuberosity at the upper end, and the posterior surface at the lower end should present a tubercle called tubercle of Lister. The clinical anatomy are Coulis fracture, Smith fracture, pulled elbow. Coulis fracture is the radius commonly gets fractured above 2 cm above its lower end. If the distal fragments gets displaced anteriorly, it is known as Smith's fracture. A sudden forceful jerk of the hand of a child may be dislodge of the head of the radius from the grip of the annular ligament. This is also known as subluxation of the head of radius or pulled elbow. Okay, now we will see a short summary of the radius bone. Radius is the lateral bone of the forearm. It is a type of long bone. It divides the radius into 3 parts, that is upper rounded end, shaft, lower broad end. Upper end, the parts of the upper end are head, neck and radial tuberosity. Shaft is 3 borders and 3 surfaces. 3 borders are anterior border, posterior border, medial or interosseous border. 3 surfaces, anterior surfaces, posterior surface, lateral surface. Lower end, it is the widest part of the bone and it has 5 surfaces, that is anterior, posterior, lateral, medial, inferior surfaces. Okay, we came to an end. I hope you understood something about radius bone and gained some knowledge about radius bone. Thank you for listening. For more videos, please do subscribe our channel.